December 1st, 2025, Buddhadhamma, Chapter 7, 7.2, 8 Noble Beings. Now, it's important to know that the 8 individual or the pairs of 4s are the different path to enlightenment. There's one that's practicing to become a stream-attainer, those who are practicing to be a once returner, and those practicing to be a non-returner, and those practicing to be one who is extinguished from mental defilements. So this division is associated with the 10 fetters. Saṁyojana, which are abandoned and at different levels of awakening. With the development of the threefold training, the sikkhā. The threefold training is moral conduct, concentration, and wisdom. The 10 fetters are those defilements that bind beings to dukkha in the round of samsara vata, of rebirth, similar to the yokes that bind an animal to the wagon. Now, in the Tipitaka, the 4th and the 5th fetter are kamachanda and bayapata, respectively, where one finds abinja and apayata. The familiar pair of kamaraja and patika comes from secondary texts and sub-commentaries. That's good to note. Now, the 5 lower fetters. First one is sakkāya diṭṭhi. This is self-view, the firm belief in a self, the inability to see that beings are simply a collection of assorted skandhas, or aggregates. This view creates a course, a form of selflessness, as well as conflict and dukkha. The Sak definition is one regards material form as self, or self as possessed of material form, or material form as in self, or self as in material form. One regards feeling as self. One regards perception as self. One regards volitional formation as self. One regards consciousness as self, or self as in consciousness. So that's the first one of the 5 lower fetters, sakkāya diṭṭhi. The second one is vicikita. This is doubt and hesitation, distrust, doubts, for example, regarding the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, the training, the direction of one's life, and dependent origination, the law of causation, of cause and effect. This doubt generates a lack of confidence, courage, and discernment in walking the noble path. The third one is silabhata paramasa. This is the attachment to moral precepts, religious practices, attachment to form and ceremony. This mistaken understanding that one will be purified and liberated by merely acting or keeping of moral precept, rules, traditions, and practices. The belief that these rules and practices are sacred in themselves. One follows them with the desire for reward and acquisition, missing the true purpose of moral precepts and religious observances. One ends up astray in a extreme form of practice. So when we can say astray in an extreme form of practice, it's right to say asceticism also. This is an extreme way to practice tapas. In Hinduism, it's called tapas. This is not the noble path. The fourth one is kama raja, sensual lust, desire for pleasurable sights, desire for pleasurable sounds, desire for pleasurable smells, desire for pleasurable tastes, desirable for tactile objects. The fifth one is patika, animosity, irritation, indignation. These makes up the 5 lower fetters. Now, the other half is the 5 higher fetters. Sixth one is rupa raja, attachment to fine material form, attachment to the 4 absorbance concentration states of yagnas or jhanas of the fine material sphere, delighting in the bliss and peace that these concentrative absorption states of jhanas, desiring the 5 material spheres of rupa bhava. So rupa is form, bhava is the state of becoming. So rupa bhava, desiring the material sphere. The 7th one is arupa raja, attachment to immateriality. These examples is attachment to the 4 immaterial jhanas, desire for a formless sphere, arupa bhava. The 8th one is mana. This deals with the ego or conceit, the view of oneself as superior, equal, or inferior to others. The 9th one is uchaka, restlessness, mental disturbance, agitation. And finally, the 10th is avijja, ignorance, not knowing the truth, not knowing the law of cause and effect, not knowing the 4 noble truths, ariya satcha. The 8th, dakinaya pugala. Dakinaya is one who is worthy to be worshipped. Pugala is a person, or describing a person, or we could say a noble person. Arya Pugala can be classified into 4 types or 4 stages, which are related to the feathers in the following way. Sikkhā, these are learners, or Saupadesa Pugala, those who are still having grasping, longing, desires of the central pleasures or the central forms. The first one is Asotapanna. These are one who enters the streams, those who walk the noble path truly and correctly. They have perfect moral conduct and an adequate level of concentration and wisdom. They have abandoned the first 3 fetters, Sakkayatiti, Vichikha, and Silapata Paramata. This states the Sotapanna, stream enterers, or one who entered the stream, are also free from greed, hatred, and delusion, which leads to apaya, a state of woe. The second one is a Sakadagami, one who comes back to rebirth once again. Those who will return to this world one more time to eliminate all their accumulated dukkha. They have perfect moral conduct and an adequate level of concentration and panya, wisdom. Apart from abandoning the first three fetters, they have attenuated greed, hatred, and delusion to a greater degree than a sotapanna. Now, it states that the ones returner have abandoned the fetters of coarse lusts and animosity, and the non-returners have abandoned subtle lust and animosity. The Visuddhi Magga by Buddhaghosa states that the one returner has reduced lust and aversion, pages 676 to 677. All these interpretations are all commentaries. The third one is an anagami, the non-returner. They have reached final enlightenment from the realm where they have appeared after death. They do not return to this loka, to this world. They have perfect moral conduct and concentration, and an adequate level of wisdom. They have abandoned two more fetters, the Kamaraja and the Patika, thus abandoned the first 5 fetters. Aseka, those who have finished training, or Anupatesa Pukala, those with no grasping desire for anything essential of like lust, greed, or hatred. These are called Arihantas, or an Arihat, worthy ones, those worthy of offerings and respect, those who have broken the spokes of the wheel of samsara vata, those free of mental taints, asavas. They have perfect moral conduct, concentration, and wisdom. They have abandoned the remaining 5 fetters, thus abandoning all 10 fetters. Sikkhā, translated as learners or trainees, must also apply themselves to sever the fetters and realize the gradual steps to arihatship. Asikkhā, the arihats, are adepts. They have gone beyond training. They have finished their spiritual work and eradicated all defilements. They have reached the greatest good. There is no higher spiritual realization for which to strive. Sa Anupadesa Pukala are equivalent to the first 3 Dakshinaya Pukala above. They still have the upati, fuel, that is, they still have the upatana, the grasping, the longing, the desire to. They still have mental impurities. Anupadesa Pukala, however, the arihats are free from upatana and upati, impurity. They have no fuel left. Note that the upati here is translated as synonymous with upatana, with grasping. This differs from upati in sa anupate sa nipita and anupate sa nipita, which translates that which is grasped, the 5 skandhas. The equating of upati and upatana corresponds to the Buddha's teaching in essential spiritual factors. For example, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana, the 4 ways of success, ittapata, and the 5 faculties, indriya, which often end with encouragement that one can expect 1 or 2 results from cultivating these factors, either arihatship in this life, or if there is a residue of clinging, the state of non-returning. The term upati in this context refers to upatana, generally of the mental defilements, kilesas. Now, the 8 noble beings are precisely these 4 Arya Pukala or Dakshinaya Pukala described above. But each level of awakening is subdivided as a pair. The Buddhadhamma divides these 8 into 2 groups. Magga Samadhi, complete in the path, or Bala Samadhi, complete in the fruits of the path. Here are it again in sequence. 1, stream enterer, one who has realized the fruit of stream entry. 2, one practicing to realize stream entry. 3, once returner, one who has realized the fruit of once returning. 4, one practicing to realize once returning. 5, non-returner, one who has realized the fruit of non-returning. 6, one practicing to realize the non-returning. 7, arihat, one who has realized the fruit of arihatship. And 8, one practicing to realize arihatship. Now, these days, one finds the translation of these pairs of fruitation of stream entry, Sotapati Pala, path to stream entry, Sotapati Magga, fruitation of once returning, Sakadagami Pala, path of once returning, Sakadagami Magga, etc. These translation follows commentaries terminology. The term Sotapati Magga, Sakadagami Magga, Anagami Magga do not appear in the order text of the Tipitaka. They first appear in the Nidesa, Patisambhata Magga, and the Buddhadhamma. In the older text, the term Arahanta Magga is only found in the passages. Araha va asasi, Arahanta Magga gam va sammapano, Arahanto va Arahatama gam va sammapanna. That's from the older text. So in these 4 pairs of noble beings are known as Savaka Sangha. The Savaka Sangha are the disciples of Gautama Buddha who are considered exemplary human beings and comprised in one of the 3 jewels, Ratana, in Buddhism. The chant in the praise of the Sangha includes the 4 pairs, the 8 kinds of noble beings. These are the Blessed One's disciples. Yatitam Chatari Buddhisa Yukani Atta Buddhisa Pukala Esa Pakavato Sawaka Sangho. The 4 pairs, the 8 types of noble beings. These are the Blessed One's disciples. In the scriptures, or the Tipitaka, the disciples of Gautama Buddha are later referred to as Noble Sangha, Arya Sangha. In the older text, the term Arya Sangha is used only once as a synonym for Savaka Sangha. In the verse of the Anguttara Nikaya, in the commentaries, it is used frequently, especially in the Visuddhimagga. When the term Arya Sangha gained popularity over Savaka Sangha, the term Samadhi Sangha was used to refer to Bhikkhu Sangha. Samadhi Sangha means the agreed upon or authorized Sangha, referring to anything gathering of more than 3 bhikkhus. These terms are often paired with Savaka Sangha and Bhikkhu Sangha, and Arya Sangha with Samadhi Sangha. In any case, the terms Arya Sangha and Samadhi Sangha do not contradict the older terms and offer a more valuable perspective on the meaning of the word Sangha. Now, the 8 noble beings are the 4 pairs of the noble disciples. Very simply put, it has the pairs of opposites. So we have one entering the path, one who has entered the path and returns another time, one who has entered the path and doesn't return again due to getting rid of their fetters. And then the fourth one is the arihat, the one that has extinguished all their fetters, the tahapata, and so forth. But there are pairs of it in simpler terms. But it is a good note to know that there are 10 fetters, saṁyojana, which are abandoned at different levels of awakening or development of the sikkhā, the three training: moral conduct, concentration, and wisdom.